Welcome back to the Sage Audio channel. Today we're looking at how to make any master sound better in 3 easy steps. As the name suggests, we're looking at simplistic and easy ways to improve a master. Nothing here is too complex or requires too much of your time or energy, but each step can have a big impact on the quality of your master. We'll explain each one of these steps, describe why the step is important and beneficial, and then listen to the technique being performed on a stereo mix to get a better understanding of it. So, if you could, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for the full video. But first, if you're an artist, engineer, or producer, and you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us at sageaudio.com. We'll master it for you and send you a free mastered sample of it. All you have to do is set up an account, upload the song, and we do the rest. So, number 1 is time any dynamics processing to the track's BPM. Dynamics processing, whether it's compression, expansion, transient shaping, limiting, or saturation, is at the heart of mastering. So much of what mastering is comes down to how the various dynamics of the master are controlled. Now, you might have 4 or 5 dynamics processors being utilized for different purposes on a master, each shaping the sound in a unique way. Now, despite their separate roles, there's one thing that can be uniform amongst all of them. Although it's great to set your attack and release settings to what sounds best, it's also a great practice to set it to the BPM of your track. Ideally, a plugin will be able to sync to the BPM automatically, but this is rarely the case. So, if you want to set the attack and release of your dynamics processor to the BPM of the track that you're working on, and it doesn't let you do this within the plugin, simply follow this easy equation. Take 60,000 and divide it by the BPM. This will give you the time of 1 quarter note in milliseconds. Enter this time into your compressor, expander, or other processor, and you'll find that your master sounds a little more musical. If a quarter note interrupts any aspect of the mix or compresses in a way that doesn't flow with the timing of the sound, try dividing the quarter note by 2 or 4 to get an 8th note and 16th note respectively. Or you can multiply it by 2 to get a half note for a smoother, less dynamic sound. Lastly, try multiplying the original value by 1.5 to get dotted notes, or 0.667 for triplets. Try these various settings out and find one that works best for the song you're mastering. Odds are the different processors will have different timings due to the unique jobs that they're performing, but as always, use your ears. Let's take a listen to it. The next step is to use linear phase processing when creating high-pass filters. High-pass filtering isn't super common when mastering, but it can play a vital role. If you use a mid-side equalizer, you can attenuate up to 130 Hz on the side image and up to 20 Hz on the mid image. By cutting up to 130 Hz on the side image, you make the low end mono, and by cutting up to 20 Hz on the mid image, you increase your master's headroom without changing anything perceivable about the track. But if you use certain filters, you might be causing some unwanted phase shifts. And when you use high-pass filters while using a zero latency mode, you inevitably cause changes to your phase. If we use the Burton analyzer and we observe the pink line, we can see that changes to the low frequency spectrum drastically alter the phase of the signal in that area. This means that the changes we're making may not be entirely accurate due to the phase cancellation. If we're mixing, this wouldn't be a huge issue, but since we're mastering, any change to the signal can have a big impact. And that's why it's wise to use linear phase processing when making these types of cuts during a mastering session. By doing so, phase shifts like this one shown won't occur as drastically, if at all. Now this means you'll have more accurate equalization. Although this is helpful, keep in mind that linear phase may not always sound better. What sounds better will depend on your preference and the source material that you're working on. Let's take a listen to it. Last up at number 3, we have introduced dynamic equalization or expansion before limiting. Limiting is often thought of as a killer of dynamics, but by placing a dynamic equalizer or multiband expander before the limiter, you can really retain a song's dynamic range. There are a lot of great presets that you can use for this, but it's probably best to use your ears and to listen intently to what you're trying to expand. If you think you'll need a fair amount of filters, try dynamic equalization. The FabFilter Pro Q3 is a great option since it allows you to create multiple bands, change their Q settings, and adjust the range of expansion. Additionally, you can use mid-side dynamic equalization, which will make your stereo width dynamic as well. Now keep in mind that you won't be able to adjust the attack and release time of these bands, but the Pro Q3 will use slower times for lower frequencies and faster times for higher ones to ensure that distortion doesn't occur. Now, if you'd prefer to adjust the attack and release times, try using a multi-band compressor for multi-band expansion. If you're in doubt about where to start, you can expand the kick and snare, which happen roughly around 80 Hz and 240 Hz respectively. Then you can expand the high frequency range to add some air to the master, make the cymbals, hi-hats, aspects of the snare, and other instruments more dynamic. In my opinion, using expansion on these frequencies can be a lot more effective than simply equalizing them. If you adjust the threshold just right, you can avoid amplifying the frequencies for unwanted sibilance and only have the expansion for the instrumentation that you want, something that wouldn't be possible with a regular shelf filter. Lastly, try expanding some mids to get the vocal to cut through. This might not work in every situation, but you can center the frequency on the vocal to help. Now if you can't find it, or if you're in doubt, 2 kHz is a good center frequency for bringing the vocals forward. Lastly, make sure that your signal isn't peaking prior to being sent to the limiter. Let's take a listen to it. So these are our thoughts on how to make any master sound better in 3 easy steps, but what do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you're an artist or an engineer, send us one of your mixes at sageaudio.com. We'll master it for you and send you a free mastered sample. All you have to do is set up an account, upload the song, and we'll do the rest. But thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and share this video with your friends. This way we know if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Also, you can subscribe to the channel. We release 3 to 4 new videos every week, and subscribing is the best way to stay up to date. There's a comment section where you can leave your thoughts on this video, or you can make a suggestion for a future video. And again, if you're an artist or an engineer and you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us at sageaudio.com. We'll master it for you and send you a free mastered sample. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.